Hello. Today, we'll take a calm and detailed look at two popular fermented milk products, yogurt and kefir. Many consider them interchangeable, but this isn't true. We'll explore the fundamental differences in their production, bacterial composition, consistency, health effects, and culinary uses. You'll learn why kefir is called a drink and yogurt a food, which product may be healthier for your gut, and when it's best to choose one over the other. This information will help you make an informed choice at the store shelf and get the most out of each product. Yogurt and kefir are two of the most well-known fermented milk products, often found on the same shelf in stores and considered closely related. However, the similarity between them is only apparent. In reality, they are fundamentally different products, the result of distinct biochemical processes initiated by different microorganisms. While yogurt is a product of controlled, pure lactic acid fermentation, producing a thick, smooth consistency, kefir is the result of a complex symbiosis of dozens of bacteria and yeast species, which work double duty to create a liquid, tangy, slightly carbonated beverage. Confusion between the two leads to consumers not receiving the desired effect. They look for a powerful probiotic in yogurt, while kefir provides a thick sauce base. In this article, we will examine in detail how and from what each product is created, the key differences in their microbial composition, and how this affects consistency, taste, and, most importantly, health benefits. You'll learn why it's worth choosing different products for different purposes, and how to avoid making mistakes when purchasing to achieve the exact results you're looking for. The fundamental difference between yogurt and kefir lies in the types of microorganisms that ferment the milk and the nature of the fermentation process itself. This difference is so significant that it can be compared to the contrast between a well-oiled classical duo and a live jazz ensemble improvising in real time. Yogurt is produced using a strictly defined, pure bacterial symbiosis. It is based on two bacteria, Lactobacillus delbrueckii, subsp. bulgaricus, Bulgarian bacillus, and Streptococcus thermophilus, thermophilic streptococcus. These microorganisms work in close cooperation, a partnership honed over decades of industrial use. Streptococcus thermophilus begins the process by rapidly multiplying in warm milk, producing lactic acid, which slightly acidifies the environment. This initial stage creates optimal conditions for the activation of the slower but more powerful Lactobacillus bulgaricus. The Bulgarian bacillus, in turn, produces amino acids and peptides that serve as ideal food for the thermophilic streptococcus, stimulating its further growth. This mutual symbiosis leads to the efficient and predictable breakdown of milk's lactose, producing lactic acid. The acid, in turn, causes denaturation, coagulation, of milk proteins, primarily casein, which leads to the formation of yogurt's characteristic thick, gelatinous consistency. This entire process is typical lactic acid fermentation and occurs at a relatively high and stable temperature, 40 to 45 degrees, which is optimal for these types of bacteria. It is this stability and predictability that make yogurt an ideal product for mass industrial production. It is important to note that these starter cultures are generally not autochthonous, native to the human intestine. They perform their work within the product itself, and once ingested, act as transit probiotics, improving digestion and helping break down lactose, but do not colonize the intestines long term. Kefir is a product of a completely different nature, representing an example of a complex microbial ecosystem. It is made not from a pure laboratory starter culture, but from a living symbiotic complex known as kefir grains. These grains, resembling cauliflower florets or small gelatinous lumps, are a matrix of the polysaccharide kefirin, which encapsulates a whole community of microorganisms. Researchers estimate that this community comprises between 20 and 50 different strains, including numerous species of lactic acid bacteria, lactobacilli, lactococci, leuconostocs, acetic acid bacteria, and, crucially, dairy yeasts, e.g., Cluiveromyces marxianus, Saccharomyces unisporus, This diverse community undergoes mixed fermentation. Two interconnected processes occur simultaneously. Lactic acid fermentation, carried out by bacteria, provides the sour taste and preserves the product. Alcoholic fermentation, carried out by yeast. Yeast ferments lactose, producing not only carbon dioxide, which gives kefir its light, natural carbonation and effervescence, but also a small amount of ethyl alcohol, usually from 0.2% to 2%, depending on the fermentation time and conditions. This double fermentation is the key feature of kefir, determining its unique properties. It leads to the formation of a wider range of metabolites, organic acids, diacetyl, which imparts oily notes, ethanol, and CO2. This complex creates that tangy, kefir-like flavor and aroma, and also provides a liquid, easy-to-drink consistency, as the protein coagulates differently than under the influence of pure yogurt cultures. Moreover, kefir's probiotic potential is significantly broader. It contains both bacteria and yeasts, some of which, for example, certain strains of lactobacilli, have the ability to overcome the acidic environment of the stomach and temporarily colonize the intestines, exerting a more profound modulating effect on the microbiome. Thus, from a microbiological perspective, yogurt is the result of a highly specialized, selective, and controlled process, whereas kefir is the product of a complex, dynamic, and self-regulating microbial ecosystem. Differences in microflora directly determine the production technologies for yogurt and kefir, which also vary greatly from equipment to process duration. These differences explain why yogurt is easy to produce on an industrial scale with a high degree of standardization, while kefir often retains a more distinct, living personality. Yogurt production is a highly controlled, almost sterile process aimed at creating a standardized product with specified properties. It begins with milk preparation. It is standardized for fat content, purified, and pasteurized at high temperatures, 85 Fahrenheit, and sometimes homogenized. And sometimes, this heat treatment destroys Aufborgun microflora and denatures whey proteins, which subsequently promotes a denser and more stable curd. After cooling to the fermentation temperature, 40–45 degrees Celsius, the milk is inoculated with a strictly proportioned, pure laboratory culture of Lactobacillus bulgaricus and Streptococcus thermophilus. The process then follows one of two main routes. With the thermostatic method, the milk with the starter culture is immediately poured into consumer containers and placed in a thermostatic chamber, where it ferments without stirring for 4–6 hours. The result is a dense, unbroken curd. This type of yogurt is often labeled thermostat yogurt. With the tank method, fermentation occurs in a single large container. After achieving the desired acidity and density, the future yogurt is gently stirred to achieve a smooth, creamy consistency, cooled, and only then bottled. This method is most often used to produce drinking yogurts. The key difference is that, after fermentation, the yogurt is no longer live. It is quickly cooled to stop bacterial activity, and the product is ready for consumption. Modern lines allow for fully automated this process, ensuring the highest productivity and consistency in every batch. Kefir production is a more flexible and multi-stage process, based on the activity of living kefir grains. Milk for kefir is also pasteurized and cooled, but to a lower temperature, 20–25 degrees. This temperature allows for active alcoholic fermentation, facilitated by yeast. Then, instead of a powdered starter culture, the kefir grains themselves are added to the milk, usually 5–10% of the milk volume. Fermentation lasts from 12 to 24 hours, during which the milk is periodically gently stirred to provide oxygen, essential for some of the grain's microorganisms. At the end of this stage, the key operation occurs. The matured kefir is filtered, separating the grains from the finished drink. The grains are not consumed, but washed and reused for the next batch, continually reproducing and passing on their unique microflora. The resulting kefir is then refrigerated at 48 degrees for another 12–24 hours. During this cold ripening, a slow additional fermentation occurs, developing the final flavor, aroma, and consistency. while acidity and gas production increase slightly. This two-phase process, warm fermentation plus cold ripening, is the classic method for kefir. A simplified method using freeze-dried, dried kefir culture also exists in industry, but traditionalists believe it does not fully reproduce the complex flavor and benefits of real kefir, obtained from grains. Thus, yogurt is the product of a single-stage, rapid, and strictly controlled fermentation, while kefir is the result of a longer two-stage process involving a live culture, which requires careful handling and reproduction. It is precisely this complexity, as well as the need to maintain the viability of kefir grains, that has historically made the industrial production of real kefir more expensive and demanding than that of yogurt. Differences in microbiology and technology naturally result in products with completely different organoleptic properties and biochemical compositions, which determines their perception and use. Yogurt, especially fermented yogurt, has a dense, uniform, and gelatinous consistency. Its curd can be so firm that a spoon can stand upright in it. When fermented in a tank or after stirring, it becomes creamy and thick, but still retains its body. Even drinking yogurts, poured after fermentation, feel like viscous liquids. This is the result of two bacteria creating a dense protein network. Kefir, by nature, is a liquid, easy-to-drink verfouwingdeverdas. Its consistency is uniform, without a pronounced curd, although slight separation of the whey may be observed upon standing. Tiny bubbles of carbon dioxide are often visible, especially if the kefir is fresh. It cannot be eaten with a spoon in the traditional sense. It is drunk. The flavor of yogurt is the benchmark, pure, fermented milk taste. It ranges from delicate and slightly sweet to distinctly tart in Greek or plain natural yogurts. The aroma is soft and milky. Kefir's flavor is significantly more complex and sharp. Due to mixed fermentation, it combines a distinct, sharp acidity with distinctive yeasty notes. The presence of carbon dioxide imparts a light, subtle effervescence and a sensation of sharpness on the tongue. Sometimes, faint notes of acetone or fruity esters are detectable, traces of yeast activity. It is this complex, prickly taste that many call true kefir and consider an indicator of its activity. Both products contain proteins, fats, carbohydrates, calcium, and B vitamins. However, the key differences lie in the products of microbial metabolism. Yogurt, in addition to lactic acid, contains bacteriocins and some vitamins synthesized by bacteria. Kefir, thanks to its diverse microflora, has a much richer profile. It contains a wide range of organic acids, which enhances its probiotic properties. Yeast fermentation results in the formation of traces of ethyl alcohol and carbon dioxide. Furthermore, kefir grains produce a unique polysaccharide, kefirin, which has proven antimicrobial, anti-inflammatory, and wound-healing properties. Thus, kefir is a more complex and functionally rich product, while yogurt remains a classic, pure, and predictable source of lactic acid cultures and protein. These differences in physical properties and chemical composition directly influence how the body reacts to each food and determine their culinary niches, from use in baking to their role in therapeutic and prophylactic nutrition. The benefits of both products for digestion are undeniable, but the mechanisms and depth of their impact on the body differ between yogurt and kefir, which is due to the composition of their microflora and the products of its metabolism. Yogurt, thanks to the activity of Lactobacillus bulgaricus and Streptococcus thermophilus, is an effective means of improving lactose digestion. These bacteria produce the enzyme lactase directly in the product, and to a lesser extent, in the intestine after consumption. This makes yogurt accessible to many people with lactose intolerance. Yogurt starter cultures also produce lactic acid, which creates an unfavorable environment for pathogenic microorganisms in the intestine, and bacteriocins, natural antibiotics that inhibit the growth of harmful bacteria. However, most strains used in industrial yogurt are transit strains. They perform their function as they pass through the gastrointestinal tract, but do not colonize the intestines for long. Therefore, regular consumption is important to maintain the effect. Yogurt's benefits are also associated with improved absorption of calcium and protein from milk. Its dense consistency and high protein content provide a feeling of satiety, making natural yogurt a popular product in weight-controlled diets. Greek yogurt deserves special attention. After additional straining, it contains even more protein and less lactose, enhancing these properties. Kefir has a more comprehensive and powerful effect on the gut microbiome. Its main advantage is its diverse probiotic strains, including not only bacteria, but also yeast. Some of these microorganisms, particularly certain lactobacilli and yeasts of the genus Saccharomyces, have high adhesive properties. This means they can temporarily attach to the intestinal mucosa, competing with pathogens for nutrients and attachment sites, thereby displacing them. A wide range of organic acids, acetic and propionic, creates an even more pronounced acidic environment, detrimental to pathogenic bacteria. A unique component of kefir, the polysaccharide kefirin, has its own anti-inflammatory and immunomodulatory properties. The yeast component of kefir helps normalize the balance of not only bacterial, but also fungal intestinal microflora, which can be important after a course of antibiotics. Thanks to its mixed fermentation process, kefir often has higher concentrations of B vitamins, especially B12, B, and B1 and folic acid, synthesized by microorganisms. Its regular consumption is associated with a more pronounced normalizing effect on intestinal function, eliminating both constipation and diarrhea, strengthening the intestinal barrier, and a positive effect on systemic immunity via the gut immune axis. Its liquid form and the presence of carbon dioxide may promote faster absorption and a mild choleretic effect. It's important to note the contraindications and nuances. Due to its higher acidity and the presence of yeast, fresh kefir is not recommended during flare-ups of gastritis, pancreatitis, and peptic ulcers. Yogurt, with its milder effect, is often better tolerated in this regard. On the other hand, kefir's pronounced probiotic properties make it a preferred choice when quickly restoring the microflora. Thus, yogurt can be considered an excellent daily product for maintaining comfortable digestion, improving the absorption of dairy products, and gently regulating the microflora. Kefir, on the other hand, acts as a more powerful functional remedy for restoring and diversifying the microbiome, especially during periods of stress, after illness, or after taking medications. Both products are beneficial, but their roles in the diet can be defined as follows: yogurt for daily support, kefir for targeted intestinal health. The different physical and flavor properties of yogurt and kefir naturally determine their distinct roles in the kitchen and everyday consumption. These products are rarely interchangeable, as each makes its own unique contribution to a dish. Yogurt, with its thick, creamy, and stable texture, is an ideal ingredient for sauces, dressings, and cold soups. Classic Greek tzatziki sauce, Turkish yatik, and Indian raita are all based on yogurt, which doesn't separate and holds cucumber, garlic, and herb flavors well. It's used as a lighter, healthier alternative to mayonnaise or sour cream in salads and sandwiches. In desserts, yogurt serves as a base for mousses and parfaits, and it's added to cake and pie batter to make baked goods moister and tender. Plain yogurt, without additives, makes a healthy breakfast or snack on its own, and can be enriched with muesli, nuts, fruit, or honey. In Mediterranean and Middle Eastern cuisine, yogurt is often used as a marinade for meat, especially lamb and chicken, as its acidity and enzymes help soften the fibers without destroying the structure of the product due to too aggressive an environment. Kefir, being a liquid beverage, primarily serves as a thirst quencher, a quick snack, or a meal-finishing beverage. However, its culinary uses are also quite broad, based on its unique properties. Its acidity and the presence of yeast make kefir an excellent base for dough. It acts as a leavening agent in recipes for pancakes, crepes, fluffy fritters, and even some types of bread, providing them with airiness. Kefir is an essential ingredient in the classic cold okroshka, where its tart flavor balances perfectly with the neutral kvass or water, herbs, and vegetable. Like yogurt, kefir can be used as a meat marinade, And thanks to its broader spectrum of acids and enzymes, it can be even more effective, especially on tougher cuts of meat. At home, kefir is often used as a starter culture for making cottage cheese or cheese by simply heating and separating the whey. Moreover, many connoisseurs believe that a glass of kefir at night promotes better sleep and morning digestion. Beyond cooking, kefir has found its way into home cosmetology. It's used as a base for nourishing and cleansing face and hair masks, thanks to its rich composition of organic acids and vitamins. Thus, choosing between yogurt and kefir in the kitchen is a matter of choice. If you need a thick, smooth cream, a stable dressing, or a dessert base, choose yogurt. If you need a liquid, acidic base for a drink, dough, or cold soup, or a more active marinade, choose kefir. In everyday life, yogurt is more often perceived as a food, and kefir as a drink, which is entirely consistent with their physical forms and traditional consumption. This distinction between food and drink is key to understanding their place in the diet and in the kitchen, although both products remain valuable sources of probiotics and nutrients. A direct comparison of yogurt and kefir reveals that they are not competitors, but rather distinct products with unique properties designed to address different needs. Their differences stem from fundamental factors: microflora composition, production technology, and final physicochemical properties. Yogurt is a product of controlled lactic acid fermentation. Its strengths include a thick, smooth consistency, a pure, fermented flavor, and high nutritional value, protein, and calcium. It is ideal as a standalone product, breakfast, snack, or as a base for sauces, dressings, desserts, and baked goods. Its probiotic action is gentle and supportive, primarily aimed at improving lactose digestion and creating a favorable intestinal environment. Yogurt is a stable and predictable daily foundation for a healthy diet. Kefir is the result of a complex symbiotic fermentation involving bacteria and yeast. It is a liquid, tangy, slightly carbonated drink. Its main advantage is its powerful and diverse probiotic potential, its ability to more actively influence the composition and balance of intestinal microflora, and the presence of unique biologically active substances, kefirin. In cooking, it is indispensable as a base for okroshka, a leavening agent for dough, and an active marinade. Kefir is a functional drink for targeted microbiome support, especially beneficial during recovery periods. Ultimately, we see that a smart approach isn't about choosing one best product, but about combining them intelligently. Yogurt should be used as a healthy and versatile food product for daily consumption. Kefir should be considered a healthy drink for occasional or regular, but not necessarily daily use, especially when enhanced probiotic support is needed. Both products deserve a place in a balanced diet, and their differences are not a drawback, but a source of additional opportunities for maintaining health and adding variety to the kitchen.